Donald Trump did do something yesterday that I think Arian and I might have advocated for when we did our first. We dipped our toes into the dark web a couple years ago, and we did an episode on the Silk Road. And Ross Ulbricht, he went by Dread Pirate Scott, I believe. He was the founder of the Silk Road. He was arrested. He was put in prison. I think what, 3 consecutive life sentences, basically sentenced to die in jail in prison. He was pardoned by Donald Trump on his second day in office. It seemed to be a thank you to the libertarians who saw this as a very important cause to them. And so Donald Trump was like, you helped me get elected. I told you I'd pardon this guy, and I'm going to do it. So I think when we did the Silk Road episode, Aaron, I believe you and I were saying that not a great guy, made some big mistakes, but the sentence he was handed was just kind of absurd for what they accused him of doing.
Don't remember what I said, but yeah, like so I'm all for I don't think drugs should be illegal in general. So commuting or pardoning all sales, all distributors of drugs, I think should happen all across the board. There was some I read though, he had some murder for hire plots that may or may not have. So there was no evidence that they had anybody murdered. There was no
Hmm.
evidence of any bodies, but there was evidence of him um attempting.
Yeah, I think there was evidence of like staged murder scenes, and they got back in touch with him and said this guy's dead now. So that bad guy should not have done that. I need to go back and dig into what happened with the murder for hire stuff because I do think that was like towing the line of entrapment,
Hmm.
and I don't think that's what he was convicted of, was he?
That was part of it. Yeah.
He
I
was
think
convicted of murder for hire.
I don't know if it was murder for hire, but it was from my reading, I think he it was mentioned that because he didn't that there was no bodies, they couldn't pin any murders on him, but he definitely had um communications talking about plotting. I like I said, I'm unaware of any actual murders that took place. I don't think that they ever found any of that evidence. But he definitely did sell a bunch of dope. That I think the reason why he got the heavy sentence was because it was directly correlated to people who overdosed.
Hmm.
That's why I think he got the sentence that he did. But again, I don't think drugs should be illegal. So if you, I'm all for like if that's the only thing, like I'd have to look into his case to have a definitive stance on it. But like as far as the drug shit is concerned, I don't think anybody should be in jail because of nonviolent drugs. Like nonviolent drug offenders should all be out of jail.
So he was I believe at one point charged with the murder for hire things, but those charges were withdrawn because they couldn't prove them because there was some weird shit that went on with the investigation. So that's not he was not pardoned for murder for hire. The drug dealing allegations is mostly because he set up this website that became, and I think it was probably his intent at the time as well, to have like an open drug market that existed on the dark web where people could buy and sell drugs across the country. He wasn't personally like packaging drugs and sending them. He was running the website that was enabling all this drug deal, like all the drug dealing to happen. And so to get all those life sentences, I thought at the time was a little bit heavy-handed, and he probably should not have to die in prison because of it. So yeah, he has been pardoned, not just commuted. The sentence was pardoned by Trump on his second day in office. So crazy stuff right off the bat.